What up, Facebook? Happy hump day. Middle of the week, here we are, going live. It's always so awkward, like waiting in this beginning time for you guys to show up. It's probably even more awkward for the people who go back later on and watch these videos, and then I'm just sitting here in more awkward silence. So I hope everyone enjoys that. Well, I hope you guys are having a good day so far. I have been trying to do my best lately to keep my mentality of keeping it in the day and only in the day, because I find that I kind of veer off thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow or it's going to happen next week and next month, and I find myself getting overwhelmed. So I'm trying to keep my focus on focusing on right now, today. Definitely helps a little bit. Takes away some of that fear and that anxiety, when we kind of start worrying about the future and worrying about things we can't control. So that's just been my mindset lately. I hope you guys are able to do the same, kind of keep it one day at a time here. So a couple more of you jumping on here. Hey Jake, hey Alicia, glad you guys are joining me today. Good evening. It is evening, isn't it? I'm also late today, so I apologize for that. Good evening, afternoon, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever day it is, whatever month it is, right? So, hope you guys are doing okay. So, give me a quick check-in. How is everybody feeling today? So, in the meantime, we'll kind of get started today. So, I have been reading Tribe of Mentors for you guys for the past couple weeks here by Timothy Ferriss. Some of you may recognize him from being the author of the 4-Hour Work Week. Very cool book. All right, so we're going to kick it off here since I am running behind today. So I usually give you guys, especially for those of you who are new on here, I still can't figure this out. Maybe someone can explain it to me. I'm a little Facebook illiterate, but like in the top corner, I can always see how many people are actually viewing, but I can only see like certain people who, like when they join, like in the chat box it says Jake joined, for example. So I never understand that, but it's not equivalent to however many people are viewing. So I don't know. Anyways, that's my own confusion. I was just curious because I can never see everybody who's on here. I like seeing who's coming in to hanging out with me. All right. So this book by Tim Ferriss, pretty cool book. And just to give you guys a little bit of background, around 2017, Tim Ferriss had kind of hit multiple turning points in his life. He had turned 40, and there was all these different things happening in his life, as life often does. College graduations, quarter life crisis, midlife crisis, kids leaving home, retirement. Questions started to bubble to the surface for him. Hi, Molly. So Tim was kind of struggling with all these internal questions that were going on, such as, were my goals my own or simply what I thought I should want? How much of life had I missed from underplanning or overplanning? How could I be kinder to myself? How could I better say no to the noise to better say yes to adventures I craved? How could I best reassess my life, my priorities, my view of the world, my place in the world, and my trajectory through the world? So many things, all the things, he writes. So one morning, Tim wrote down all the questions that came to mind, and he was hoping for some clarity, and instead he was met with all sorts of anxiety with this overwhelming list of questions. So he asked himself the one question that helps answer many other questions. And he said, what would this look like if it were easy? This could be anything. That morning, it was answering a laundry list of big questions. What would this look like if it were easy? It's such a lovely and deceptively leveraged question. It's easy to convince yourself that things need to be hard, that if you're not redlining, you're not trying hard enough. This leads us to look for paths of most resistance, often creating unnecessary hardship in the process. But what happens if we frame things in terms of elegance instead of strain? Sometimes we find incredible results with ease instead of stress. Sometimes we solve the problem by completely reframing it. So thinking about that question in his mind, what would this look like if it were easy, an idea had presented himself. Tim thought to himself, what if I assembled a tribe of mentors to help me? More specifically, what if I asked 100 plus brilliant people the very questions I wanted to answer for myself, and somehow got them to guide me in the right direction? So that was kind of the idea that originally came about before the book. So what Tim did is he sent out an identical set of 11 questions to some of the most successful, wildly varied, and well-known people on the planet. And he told them to answer 3 to 5 of your favorite questions, or more of them if it so moves you to do so. So Tim started getting all these responses back from all these people that he really didn't expect. He said they were some of the most thoughtful answers he had ever received. And so that's what really this whole book is about. So there is the list of the 100 plus well-known, brilliant people in this book, and with their responses to some of the 11 questions that he sent out to every single one of them. So what I've been doing with you guys is kind of picking one of those questions, talking about it a little bit, picking one of the mentors, one of their answers, kind of reading that, and then seeing what you guys think too. I've been kind of posting the questions in the chat, so I'd love to hear from you guys too. Do a quick check-in here. Jake, still trying to wake up. I still haven't been sleeping well, but doing well. Staying connected and staying as active as possible. Sticking to my routine. Awesome. That's what I like to hear. Hey, Nelly, how are ya? Yeah, and those routines right now are key. You know, they really are. I mean, it doesn't work for everybody, but I've found for me that I need to have some type of routine. And it doesn't have to be so structured that I'm running myself ragged doing 5 million things every moment of every day. You know, but to have some sort of routine and some sort of structure has definitely been helpful during this time. So I'm glad that you're sticking to that routine, Jake. That's good to hear. Glad you guys are joining in. Awesome. All right, so let's get moving here. So today's question, and I think we're actually at the end of the questions. So when I've done these with you, I have not read any of them in order. I've just kind of picked the ones that stood out to me that day. Excuse me. Apparently I'm tired too. All right, so today's question I picked was number 7. And I will type it in the chat. In the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life? So give me a minute. I'm going to post this in the chat. All right, so that is today's question. And as always, I really continue to encourage you guys to be open, to just have an open mind on here, be respectful of each other and each other's comments, and to just be vulnerable and be honest. And the few of you that have been joining on here every day have really just opened up, and it's really, I mean, you know, it's really been, there's quite a few of you I don't even know on here. And it's really been amazing to watch you guys open up over the past couple of weeks just through Facebook videos and comments on here. So I've truly enjoyed it. So I just continue to encourage you guys to just be open and honest and, you know, share. You know, engaging with you guys on here. It's really cool. So that's today's question. In the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life? So I picked 2 answers today. Or 3. I forget which one I did. So the first one that I picked is from the list of 100 people was Amelia Boone. Just to give you a very brief background, Amelia Boone is a 4-time world champion in the sport of obstacle course racing and is widely considered the world's most decorated obstacle racer. She has been called the Michael Jordan of obstacle racing and the Queen of Pain. Her victories include winning the 2013 Spartan Race World Championships and being the only 3-time winner of the world's toughest mudder. So I didn't even know who that was, so now I'm curious when I have to go look up some YouTube videos. There's some really interesting people in this book. A lot of people I've never even heard of. A lot of entrepreneurs and business people, but you know, there's all sorts of people in this book, so it's really cool to get to know them as I read through this as well. Anyways, I'm digressing. So Amelia's response to today's question: in the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life? And she says, I'm risk averse by nature, and in the last 5 years, I've learned how to run toward fear instead of running away from it. My nature has always been to take the straight and narrow path, to take the path with fewer unknowns. But by forcing myself to face the unknown and embrace the uncomfortable, I found that I actually thrive in it. So I now take fear and discomfort as a sign that I should be doing something. That's where the magic happens. And I just loved her response. I thought it was very relevant to a lot of the things, we've been talking about over the past couple weeks. Kind of being stuck in that spot of fear at times. And sometimes when we're faced with a fear or an uncertainty, or any type of dilemma or anything like that, oftentimes we want to run away from it, right? We have that very natural fight or flight response. And so for her, she says she's learned how to run toward fear instead of running away from it. Because that is our nature as humans, oftentimes, is to run away because it's unknown, it's uncomfortable, it's unfamiliar territory, it's uncertain. We can't see beyond it. So why would I want to run towards it? I don't know what's going to happen, right? I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. So it's very natural for us to want to run away from it. But I love that she just does the complete opposite. She runs towards it. She for her, she's realized that she actually thrives in that. And I love that she has this awareness that she takes fear and discomfort as a sign that I should be doing something. And I'm gonna grab some water. Sorry, guys. But, we talk about having that self-awareness a lot. And the fact that she has that is huge. If she's feeling fear or discomfort, she takes that as a sign that I should be doing something. I mean, that's huge. Not a lot of us think in that mindset. If it's fear or discomfort, I think our natural tendency is to either run away from it or mask it, right? And for those of you who are in recovery, maybe you can relate to this in your past. How many times did you want to numb out that discomfort, those uncomfortable feelings, those traumas you've been through, those tragedies you've been through? You never wanted to deal with it and face it, right? We ran away from it. We hid it. We shoved it way down here. We tried to numb out those feelings with, drugs or alcohol or relationships or unhealthy behaviors, right? Always trying to mask those internal feelings and never facing them. But I love that. That is such a good gauge, and I think I want to take that on as my new habit too, and more so just having that awareness. If I'm feeling fear and if I'm feeling discomfort, I want to take that as a sign that I should be doing something. I should be embracing that. And it's part of those check-ins. It's like forcing ourselves to look at, well, why am I feeling so fearful right now? What is it that feels uncomfortable right now? What is it? Why am I feeling that way? What's causing it? And what can I do to move through it, but not mask it? So I really loved her answer. So that was one of the ones I picked today. I actually think I picked 3 for you guys, which I've kind of been doing a lot lately, but there's just so many good answers in here. This next one was a very short answer, and the individual, you guys will probably know this one. So this is from Ben Stiller. Most of you know who he is. He's an actor. He's also written, starred in, and directed and produced more than 50 films. I'm sure some of you guys have seen The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, Zoolander, The Cable Guy, There's Something About Mary, Dodgeball, Tropic Thunder, Night at the Museum. So you guys, I think most of you probably know who Ben Stiller is. So his answer was a short but simple and effective one. In the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life? And Ben says, taking time to breathe when I feel stressed. I will try to just breathe and concentrate on my breath. I find it relaxing, and it helps me refocus and reset. Super simple, right? And why is it so difficult sometimes? Why do we forget about it sometimes? Do you ever catch yourself at moments, and I think I catch it more so for myself lately because I'm on so many gosh darn Zoom calls, and I have to look at myself on camera all day, and there's times where I notice that my shoulders are up to my ears, or I'm holding my breath, and I don't realize it until I look at myself on camera and I realize how tense I am. And it's almost kind of helpful. I am sick of staring at myself in a way, but it's kind of helpful when I catch myself and I see this. I can take that breath and just let those shoulders down. How many times a day are you guys tensed up, and holding yourself and not even realizing you're doing it, or holding your breath, not even realizing you're doing it? It's part of those. We've talked about so many of these different things. It's part of that self-awareness. It's part of those self-check-ins I encourage you guys to do throughout the day. It's part of mindfulness and meditation. Maybe there's some of you who have been joining Brian Quinn for his meditations every day on here. You guys do a lot of different breath work and focusing on your breathing, doing those meditations. Excuse me. And it's just so important to be able to do that, just to take time to breathe. Even especially when you're feeling stressed, that's the time to take a pause, take a step back, and just sit for a couple seconds and take those big, deep breaths. Just let that stuff go. One of the different techniques I learned in one of the mindfulness groups I used to do is, adding tensing of different muscle groups into your breathing, so I can clench my fists as I'm breathing in and squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. You're squeezing your fist real tight. And then as you're breathing out really slow, but you're also releasing whatever muscle group it is that you have intentionally chose to tense up. So you can do that with any muscle group, any body part on there. And that I found, even just doing that, I'm able to, I really feel the release of breath and the release of stress when I'm also releasing my breath. And whatever muscle group that is too, I'll do my hands sometimes a lot. So I'll tense them real tight and I'll take that deep breath in and slowly breathe out and release the muscles too. And there is just, I don't know what it is about that, but there's just this weight off of that. It's one of those habits that I have also picked up too. More so the breathing that's kind of tied in with the meditation. For me, one of my habits and one of my answers to this question, I don't know if it would be a behavior, a habit, whatever it is. I guess it's a habit. It's more of a routine really, but I for the most part, I'm pretty diligent about, I have my little morning routine, and I do some of my readings in the morning, and I sit and I do different meditations. Sometimes I do it in silence with nothing on my phone, or no guided meditations, no music. I'll kind of open the window, and I live in the city, so I hear all the fun city noises that you hear out here. But sometimes I'll just kind of pay attention to the noises around me and focus on that. Or there's times where I do guided meditations, or different apps, different meditation apps that I have on my phone. But I'm still really just trying to focus on my breath and concentrating. And it is relaxing, and it does help me focus, and it does help me reset. But yeah, so that was just another. I'm kind of going all over the place today, but you guys are used to that if you've stuck around with me for a couple weeks here. Part of my charm, right? So this last one, this answer is from, I'm hoping I'm not mispronouncing this, Turia Pitt is one of Australia's most admired and widely recognized figures. At 2011, at age 24, Turia was an ex-model fitness person and successful mining engineer when she was caught in a freak firestorm while competing in a 100-kilometer ultramarathon in Western Australia. She was choppered out of the remote desert, barely alive, and suffering from full-thickness burns to 64% of her body. Surviving against overwhelming odds, Turia came back stronger than ever. She completed the Ironman... I lost my spot. I'm sorry, guys. Turia completed the Ironman World Championship in Kona, Hawaii in late 2016, and later wrote her memoir, which is called Everything to Live For, the inspirational story of Turia Pitt. She's also got a popular TEDx talk called Unmask Your Potential, details her incredible story of triumph over adversity. Some of these I've never read before, so when I read you guys whose answers they are, it's kind of interesting to get a little bit of background on who all these 100 plus brilliant people are, or well-known people. Kind of gives me something interesting to look up later on. Anyways, so her answer, in the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life? So, and this is one that we have definitely talked about before, is doing a gratitude list. But I just like the way that she described it, and she actually kind of went into it with a different approach. So I just thought it was really important to share with you guys today. Gratitude. When I was younger, it's not like I was ungrateful, but I never stopped to take the time to reflect on everything I had going for me. Now I do a gratitude practice every morning, every day, and I might even do it again throughout the day. I don't weigh in too much on the science behind it. I just know if I do it, I feel better. I'm not a believer in quick fixes, but I know it's a very effective method to instantly change how you're feeling. Here's what it looks like. First, I listen to my gratitude playlist on Spotify. Any song on the list. For example, here are 9 tracks as of today. So I just thought that was kind of interesting, something I don't normally do with my own gratitude list. So she's got this song playlist. She does list all the 9 songs on here. I won't go into all those. So she says she picks one of those songs on the playlist. Then I think of 3 things that I'm genuinely grateful for. I found the more specific the better. So for example, rather than just thinking my mom, it could be my mom for making me spinach pie last night. Instead of my partner, it could be the run I went for with my partner yesterday. This morning it was, number 1, my son kicking me in the belly. Number 2, my coffee. Number 3, seeing the sunrise. If I do this properly and genuinely, example, not just rattling them off in my head, that's why the music helps me to get into the right frame of mind, I usually start crying from gratitude. If I feel frustrated or pissed off during the day, sometimes I'll do this again to center me. So I just thought that was a really cool approach of the gratitude list. And again, maybe some of you have your own songs that you really enjoy. I have all sorts of different playlists for all different moods. So yeah, there are certain songs that I guess kind of get me in that more kind of calm mindset, kind of poke at my emotional side a little bit. So I just loved that she listens to a song just to kind of get her in this mindset first. And then when she's making her gratitude list, she goes into it in more detail. Instead of just saying, I'm grateful for my mom. Well, why am I grateful? Well, because she made me spinach pie last night. So it's kind of cool to have more of that awareness of, that's why for me, I've shared with you guys, like I tend to do my gratitude list at the end of every night. That way for me, I kind of look back throughout my day that I just went through, and I can pick out specific things like, so maybe someone I haven't talked to in a long time. So usually those will go on my gratitude list at the end of the night. Like, I had today I'm grateful for the nice phone conversation with so-and-so that I had earlier today. So that's why I like doing mine at night. But she makes a good point. We can literally do a gratitude list at any time of the day. And sometimes it's beneficial to do that at those times where we are feeling stressful, where we're feeling irritable and angry and maybe annoyed. Any of those negative emotions where we're kind of wrapped up in ourselves and wrapped up with our own stuff that's going on. Sometimes it's very easy for us to get caught up in that. I know it is for me anyways. So sometimes that's a good point to stop and do a gratitude list. And it doesn't mean I have to take the time to write it down. If that so moves you, then go for it. But it's more about just making the practice of doing it. And again, just getting yourself in a different mindset. Instead of being angry and irritated with the world, instead of being mad that COVID's going on, something that's so out of our control, what can I be grateful for? And to go one step further, that I've asked you guys to do multiple times, go one step further. Can you be grateful for anything that COVID has brought you? Obviously it's this giant, uncomfortable thing that has a lot of negative attention right now. Sure, and it's costing a lot of lives, and it's very scary, right? So overall, we see it as this giant, horrible thing that's happening. But can you push yourself to find a silver lining in this? I don't know. It's going to look different for every single one of you. I can't answer that for you guys, but, I can answer it for myself. I'm oddly finding more things to be grateful during this time than I ever have. It is very weird to me, but I'm not questioning it. Like she said, I'm not questioning the science behind it. I just know that having the attitude of gratitude and finding those little things to be happy and grateful for, instead of wasting my time being pissed off and angry and feeling like garbage, which would you rather have? Which would you rather feel? I hate those negative emotions. So, I think when that comes up, making a little gratitude list, maybe I'm saying 3 things out loud I'm grateful for. Or if you are quarantined with a family member or friend, turn to them and say, hey, today I'm grateful for you. Let those people know that you love them and you care about them, Anywho, so I guess that would be one of my habits I've kind of stuck to that has improved my life. Another one of those for me is my morning routine, which I kind of mentioned a moment ago. For me, that's just getting up and spending time in the quiet every morning. Whether I do a guided meditation or not, spending time doing some reading, spending time just sitting still. And that's, hard to force ourselves to do sometimes, but it's a habit that I've been doing in the last year or so, that has drastically improved my life. It it centers me for the day. It gets me in a positive mindset for the day. It gets me in the right tone for the day. Just taking that quiet time in the morning to just sit and to just be, before the problems start piling up on the day. Can I pause before all that happens, right? One of the beliefs in the last 5 years that has improved my life, and I would say this is probably more of a new one too. A lot of these things I really started to change probably in the past roughly year to 2 years of my own recovery. That's where a lot of these new beliefs and behaviors and habits have been formed, because they're healthy ones and they have immensely improved my life. But I think one of those beliefs that I've had is that there's so many different ones I could touch on. There really is, and I don't want to go too deep into it. I really want to get to some of your guys' answers, but lately, the original book I was sharing with you guys when we first started this, the book where the title comes from, Outrage is Openness, that's really shifted quite a lot of my beliefs and my perspectives. But, the main one, just trusting that there is this greater source of whatever it is out there, the universe or your higher power, whatever you choose to call that. We can be open here. But I choose to believe that there is a solution out there. If I'm open to it, I choose to believe that there's a solution for all my problems. And I choose to invite that in every day. And I'm really working on letting go of trying to control everything. And I'm struggling with that right now. There's so much uncertainty in the world that I'm trying to overcompensate by controlling lots of little things in my life. And that's been a challenge. But I'm really working on letting that go and remembering the belief that, whatever is meant to happen will happen. Whatever is meant to stay will stay. And whatever is meant to go will go. I do firmly believe that. And I forget it sometimes, sure. But I do my best to hang on to that belief and just trust that it's going to be okay. Trust that there's a greater plan for all this. And that's actually, it has improved my life, but it's more so improved my COVID-19 quarantine life for the past month or so. It's really helped me to get through and to not freak out about this. That's just been my own experience, and, not everybody can relate to that, and that's okay, but that's been my experience. So let me jump on the comments here. Nellie says, my behavior is feeling sorry for myself. I have always downed myself and thought that I didn't deserve any good. My self-esteem and just my whole behavior has changed. I love living and no longer have feelings that I don't belong here anymore. That's awesome. And it's really cool when we start to have that perspective shift, right? And it's even cooler when we notice it ourselves. I was talking to somebody earlier today. I have somebody in my life who's constantly reminding me to take that yardstick, that ruler, and put it behind me instead of in front of me, right? Because if it's in front of me, all I can focus on is, oh, geez, look how far I have to go. Look at all the things I still have to do. I'm nowhere near where I want to be yet. On and on and on, right? But instead, if I put that yardstick behind me, wow, look where I was. Look how different my life is. For Nellie, if you always feeling sorry for myself and doubting yourself and feeling like you don't deserve any good. And then looking where you're at today, you can see that distance between that yardstick now, right? You love living life today. You no longer have those feelings that you don't belong anymore. That's great. That's so cool to have that perspective shift. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Molly says, I'd have to give it to God. Giving him my heart has changed me from being a person who makes better choices to being a better person. Maybe I read that wrong. Me from being a Giving him my heart has changed me from being a person who makes better choices to being a better person. I live accordingly to his word and trust him. I'm able to confidently get through the uncomfortable challenges and grow. All he did something for me I was unable to do for myself. That's awesome. And I've heard that so many times, again, I always encourage and ask you guys to be open-minded here. And, anytime you hear God or higher power, take that whatever way it means to you. We all have that own personal relationship with our higher power, and that's what makes it truly unique and individual and special, right? My relationship with the universe and my higher power is for me and that higher power only, and the same for you, and the same for your friends and your family. Everyone has their own personal relationship with that, and it's just so cool to see all the different ways people relate, with the things they learn from their higher power. And I love that. I hear that all the time in the rooms that my higher power did something for me that I was unable to do for myself. God does for me what I can't do for myself. And, I think we don't really realize that when it's happening, but we can always kind of look back in hindsight and be like, oh, wow, like I really did need to go through this really difficult thing. I really did need to go through that trauma. I really did need to go through, getting in trouble and maybe having some consequences, whether it's losing something or, going to prison and serving time or, whatever it is, those trials and tribulations that we go through. Sometimes we need to go through those in order to get where we're at today, in order to come out of that. And I like to view that as the universe or your higher power doing for me what I could not do for myself when I go through those really hard situations, so that's great. Thank you, Molly. Molly says, I relate with everything you said, Nellie. I'm still working on self-esteem. Yes, me too. We're all working on that, right? Jake says, about 5 years ago exactly, I was going through my first alcohol withdrawal. I'd never experienced anything like it. Scary doesn't even begin to describe what I was going through. Being agnostic at that time, really because nothing made sense to me. I did something I had never done before, and I prayed. And not some half-assed prayer like I've done. I should have went to the hospital, but I had a stubbornness about myself that I wouldn't let anyone help me. But through it all, I developed a faith in my higher power that I call God. Now I have this peace that I live with as long as I stop being so self-centered. Stop trying to control everything. I still have issues, but it's my foundation that I'm continuing to build on. That's amazing, Jake. Thank you for sharing that as well. Yeah, I can relate to that. Wanting to take care of it myself. I don't need help, right? I think a lot of us definitely get stuck in that mindset. It sounds like, the consensus today is that prayer is one of those beliefs and one of those habits and one of those behaviors that a lot of you guys have taken on, and that's really cool. It's trusting something greater than ourselves to help us through these really tough times. And that can come in the form of, your own higher power or God or the universe, relying on that, right? Because I can't do this all myself, and you just read what Jake just wrote on there, something he couldn't necessarily do himself either. He reached out and you started praying, you developed a faith, and now you have a higher power that's, helping you through those difficult times. That's so great. But one of those things, we can also rely on is a connection of other people right now too, right? So if a higher power is something you struggle with, what people in your life can you rely on? And I don't mean rely on in the sense of where you're, placing all of these high expectations on that person and you're completely dependent on them for all your happiness and to make you feel better and to make you feel good inside. That's not the healthy way of relying on somebody, but relying on somebody right now during these times of connection, reaching out, right? We say it every day we're on here. We're on here for you guys if you are searching for a connection, if you're looking for any kind of support. Us at Recovery Fitness, we're still here for you guys. All the information is posted up top here in the description of this video. We have our peer services that are still going on. So if you're looking for a peer mentor, somebody who's been where you're at and can kind of walk alongside you in your own recovery journey, whatever that may look like, please call us. We have a group full of great peers that can help you out. Our phone number is on here, the 585-622-4975, or you guys can message us. So please feel free to reach out. We're here for you guys. But are you connecting with other people too? Are you connecting with your friends? Are you connecting with your family? Just because we are, quarantined right now and, doing the responsible thing by staying home, it doesn't mean that we have to have the social distancing. It's the physical distance that we're doing. It doesn't mean we can't be social, So we're still here for you guys. We're showing up every day with our videos. We can get you connected to other resources and other recovery resources as well if that's something you're looking for. So please reach out to us. Please don't hesitate. We're here for you guys. I love that you guys are showing up every day. You guys make my day being on here. So I will be back here tomorrow, 2:00. So I hope to see you guys. And as always, I continue to encourage you to check out our other virtual videos on here. If you go back to our Facebook page, you can see the post that's pinned at the top that has our weekly virtual schedule. Got all sorts of different videos on there for you guys. Some really good stuff. We got a couple more awesome ones coming up later today. So I hope you guys can tune in. And again, we also have more information about our peer services. If maybe you or maybe you have a family member or a friend who you think could benefit from that, please give us a call. We're here for you guys, and I really just encourage you to continue to reach out and check in on each other. Use those connections. And I want to leave you guys with the very question, that we started with today, thinking about in the last 5 years, what beliefs, if you didn't get to comment on here, what beliefs and behaviors and habits do you do that improve your life? And maybe that's something you can just kind of think about for yourself. And if you feel like you don't have any, and maybe you'd like to develop some new behaviors and habits and routines that could improve your life, get a hold of us. Maybe it's something we can talk about. We'd love to. So I hope you guys have an awesome day. Take it easy, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.